All right, so now we are going to deal with a conjunction word problem, an and word problem here. So this is a pretty dense word problem. So again, very, very important to highlight important information and be careful about what numbers are actually going to get used. So we know that to turn a profit, this owner needs to sell between 200 and 500 of her product, which is soup dumplings, but what the product is not as important as where we're going to create this equation. So we know that when her revenue is $200, her cost is $50 per dumpling. Oh, I see that word per, so that's going to indicate that this 50 cents, not $50, 50 cents is a coefficient. Combined cost for energy and her permit is $100. So that's an additional cost that is a constant, totaling more than $200 per week. All right, so now we know that her costs are more than $200 per week, and they're calculated based on 50 cents per dumpling, and energy costs being $100 on top of that. Now, when her revenue is around $500, her costs, so we want to focus on that key word, costs, again, because we're talking revenue, which is money made, but we're also talking cost, which is money spent. So her costs when her revenue is closer to 500 is 45 cents per dumpling, and the additional combined cost for energy and permit being $150, and that totals less than $375 per week. So we're going to use this information to write, solve, and graph an inequality, and our job is to find the possible number of dumplings that the food cart owner needs to make in order to turn a profit. So we're looking for number of dumplings that this food cart owner is supposed to be making to be in that sweet spot of $200 to $500 of product. So let's start breaking this down because this is a little bit dense. So let's talk about when her revenue is under 200 or is around $200. So revenue at $200, about $200. So we can see that revenue itself isn't really important. We're not thinking about what we need to do to calculate that revenue. We're thinking about cost. So her cost at this revenue is cost of 50 cents per dumpling that she makes, plus an additional $100. So we have our coefficient and our constant. Now, when her revenue is around $500, her cost is about 45 cents per dumpling, and she has the additional cost of $150. So that's her constant. And then we know that the total here is less than $200 or greater than $200, sorry, when her revenue is around $200, and her cost will be less than $375 when her revenue is around 500. So that gives me nice information to create two inequalities that I can then solve and graph. So inequality 1, we know that we're spending 50 cents per dumpling and an additional $100, and that is going to be greater than 200 in total. And our other inequality, which is, again, this is and, so we need to put them together. It needs to fit both of these. When my revenue is around $500, 45 cents per dumpling. So X is that's my dumpling plus $150, and it's going to be less than $375 in total. So just as a reminder, X is the number of dumplings that we are looking to make in the sweet spot to be able to turn a profit. All right, so let's go ahead and solve. So step 1, we're going to subtract the 100 from both sides of our first inequality. I'm going to end up with 0.50x is greater than 100. I divide both sides of this inequality by 0.5. They cancel out, and 100 divided by 0.5 is going to be 200. So x needs to be greater than 200. So I need to make more than 200 dumplings. Now we need to figure out what's going to happen in our other condition. So first we're going to subtract the 150 from both sides of this inequality. That's going to give me 0.45x is less than 375 minus 150 is 225. Last step is dividing by 0.45 on both sides of my inequality. And when I do that, 225 divided by 0.45 gives me 500, so less than 500. So when I'm graphing the solution to this, I'm going to create my number line. I'm going to have my 200 lower, 500 greater. Remember that greater than 200 is going this way, less than 500 is going that way, and we're looking for the intersection of these two solution sets, so we're looking for what's in between. It needs to be between 200 dumplings and 500 dumplings. So greater than 200, less than 500. When we graph that, we are going to create open circles around each and then essentially just connect our dots, because it's got to be anywhere between those two amounts is going to help our food cart owner turn a profit by making